Hi, everybody. Dory Ransom here with Be Great, Aligning Business Strategy with Soul and Spirit. The conference is coming up just next month, October 23rd through the 25th, and you can get information on that at begreatcon.com. But today, we have a chance to meet with Alexis Pierce. And let me just tell you, she is so darling and so warm and kind and caring. And yes, she's super knowledgeable and has all this wisdom to bring forth and share with you. She's going to be one of our great speakers at the conference. So I wanted to welcome Alexis. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you. Thanks for that great introduction. I should come here every day.
A great way to start the day, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, where can people find you? We'll try to start and end with that.
Great. Thank you. I am at alexispearce.com. It's ALEXISPIERCE, like you pierce an ear, and alexispearce.com. Pretty easy.
Yeah, perfect. Well, why don't you tell people who you are and what you're up to, and give them an idea of what they can expect when they meet you at the conference.
Great. Thank you. Yes, I can't wait to see everybody in person. Thank you so much for putting this together. It's going to be incredible. I've been podcasting myself about it every single week for the last month, and I just can't wait interviewing all the speakers. The speaker list is amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. When I stop and think about it, when I first started down this road, I didn't have any clue really how great the speakers are. And now as we're getting closer and closer, and I'm learning more about each speaker and what they bring, it's an impressive list.
Yes. I've loved connecting with them. And if you listen to my podcast, I have my jaw down half the time going, oh my gosh, you're incredible. So yeah, it's been a gift to me just to get to know everybody in the conference. And I'm even more excited to get to know everybody who's coming to the conference and get to see everybody in person.
Yes.
So I'll share a little bit about me so people know what to expect. So I'm a strategic planner, but I also have this much deeper healing side. I teach yoga and meditation and how to align with your energy as well. So the word alignment really captures everything I do, from the strategic planning all the way to the actual physical work with the body to releasing stress in the body through breath work. So I love the conference is focused on alignment. But what I help people realize is that there's actually 3 stages to getting what you want, or 3 stages to success. And the first one is that you envision what you want, and you get really clear on what your vision is. And then you empower yourself, and you empower yourself by creating a plan. And that's where my strategic background in the government comes in. And then the last part is to embody it. And this is where a lot of people fall off, is that we have to actually embody how we want to feel and how we envision ourselves in the first step in order to actually get there. So a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll feel it later once I'm there, but we actually have to feel it now. So we have to do a lot of that embodiment piece in order to even get where we want to go. So 3 steps: envision, empower, and embody.
So let me ask you, give us a tip on how do we feel that? How do we create that feeling?
The feeling of where you want.
Yeah. To help us move along.
Perfect question. Thank you for asking that. So the very first thing I like to do is help people get in touch with their ideal vision of the world. So I'm going to answer this in a strategic planning way, because that's how I think about the world. But the very first step is figuring out, okay, what is that big vision that your soul sees in the world? So this is where we get into the spiritual stuff as well. All of us are here with our own unique vision of the world. And we find that when we hit up on things and we go, hey, that's not fair. It doesn't have to be like that. Why did that just happen? That's not how life is. And that's your soul saying, actually, I see a different world. It doesn't have to look like this. And we want to get really clear and articulate what your soul is seeing. So in my world, there's no violence because everybody feels like they're enough. So they're not grasping and grabbing at other people's things. And in other people's worlds, people know that they're connected. And so they realize, oh, we're all one, so I don't have to compete. And so you can see that there's some feelings that are underneath that feeling of I'm enough, that feeling of I'm worthwhile, that feeling of I'm truly supported and connected. So we get in touch with what those big feelings are. And then we go down to the individual level just a little bit and we say, well, how do you want to feel in your life? What are those really big feelings that you want to have? So things like, I want to feel calm. I want to feel content. I want to feel like my life was on purpose. I want to feel like I loved really deeply and that I am loved, like really big feelings. And then we say, well, how do those feelings show up in our lives now? Is there a way that we can feel them now? Are there certain things that we do that help us feel that way? So I always ask people, name a few activities where you really felt all the ways you want to feel. And for me, I feel it when I'm swimming underwater, when I'm running with somebody else and trying to make them feel good about running, because I hate running. But if I'm with somebody else, I'll be like, you can do it, you can do it. So I feel all of those like amazing, empowered, happy, excited, connected feelings in those moments. And then I can look and say, okay, well then how can I bring them into my life now? How can I gift myself more opportunities to feel how I want to feel? Because that's how I then bring my vision into life. The more I feel how I'm going to feel once I get there, the more I'm already attracting that to me. We get into the law of attraction and other deep things, but that's the basic gist of it. So if somebody wants to start, think, how do you want to feel? And then where in your life can you bring those feelings in? And then the second question is, where in your life do you need to take out what doesn't make you feel that way?
Yeah, I love it. Too. Really, really good stuff. So what is it like to work with you? Like, how would people, if I wanted to work with Alexis Pierce, what are my options?
Thank you. So I have one really cool offering. Make it simple. Keep it simple. One really cool offering is a 90-minute session. And then we go from there if it turns out you were a good fit for longer term mentoring. But basically, it's like a conversation. People come in and they say, I'm so frustrated. I'm stuck. And they're stuck in one of three areas. Either they don't know what they want. They have no idea how to make it happen, which is where I get a lot of business owners. Going, I don't know how to make offers. I don't know what my branding is. And it's usually because they have a visioning problem, but it seems like an action problem. Or they come in and they say, I'm really happy. Everything's going great. Everything's going great in my life, but I'm not really happy. What's wrong with me? And that's the embodiment piece. So people come in at one of those three areas. And what we do is we have a 90-minute session to get clear on what is it that you're here to do? What is your soul here to do? And then where are we off? Where are we off? So how do we need to bring that into life? So that's the how do you want to feel? What steps do we need to take? If it's somebody who's focused on business, we're going to look at their audience, their messaging, their packages, their system. It's amazing how much we do in 90 minutes, actually. And then yeah, it's pretty amazing. Or sometimes actually we go a very other way. And with some people, we end up looking at really deep issues of emotional healing. And we go into the yoga practices and the breathing practices that we need to do to calm the nervous system, the deeper emotional work we can do to heal any issues with the body. Some people, come from traumatic backgrounds, so we may take it that direction because that's the most important thing that you can do to heal yourself and move forward. So we put all of that together and then get some homework. And then we follow on for about 2 weeks via email just to stay on track. And then we have a 20-minute follow-up call to see what the next steps are and how to go forward. And if at that point, we're a good fit for continuing on, then we continue on. But I like this sort of short, let's figure out, I think you just need to get back in alignment and we'll see how it goes and go flourish, go prosper.
I love it. Kind of the catch and release ideology there.
Yeah, really big on teaching other people the tools to lead their lives. It's the same thing I do in yoga. I'm not there to lead an experience. I'm there to teach you how to move so that you know what to do when you're outside of this room. Because it's just like meditation, just like being in a class of any sort. You're just learning tools to use in the rest of your life. So I don't want you to rely on me. I'm not going to give you some like golden answer. I'm just going to show you how you can find those things for yourself so that you always have the tools to go back to who you really are, which is why I love the life purpose work. And actually what I do is I give you a written out plan of who you are. I lay it out step by step. Here's your vision. Here's how you want to feel. Here's everything you said to me reflected back to you so that anytime you start to wobble later or you don't know how to make a big decision like, should my branding be purple or blue? Like you can go back to this and say, oh, right, that's who I really am. Let me reground and recenter. And then from that place, I can make decisions that are in alignment with how I want to be and show up in the world.
So tell us how you got here. How did you end up in this place and this work?
Sheer determination. Yeah, well, so I used to work for the U.S. government. I was a strategist. I helped do really big planning. So like countries in the middle of crisis, in the middle of war, or looking like they're going to war, we would interject and try to help them stabilize or come out of crisis if they were already in it. And I did a lot of domestic mass crisis planning. So I worked for the Department of Homeland Security and the Departments of State and did just this big meta planning work. And what we did in that realm is we developed this planning framework, and that was vision-based. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, a crisis is happening, what do I have to throw at it to try to help? We said, actually, what do we want to achieve here? Let's focus on the goal and the vision. And then from there, drill down to how we can best use our resources to achieve it. So it sounds really simple, that switch from resource-based planning to vision-based planning, but it's actually very hard for most of us to do in our own lives because we're so used to responding with what we have available. Yeah, the action, exactly. And all my clients go, okay, but how can I take action right now? And it's like, right. We have to get out of that habit and go back to the visioning, because the vision always pulls us forward, and then we can really leverage all the tools that we have. So many of us are multi-talented and multi-skilled. We have, spiritual interests and backgrounds and previous lives and careers and all of this thing that we can bring into it. And if we look at all of those different buckets and try to mesh them together, we don't come up with very much. But if we look at something bigger, a message that connects all through them, or a vision that's brought you to each stage of your journey, then we really can see that they all fit together. So
yeah, instead of meshing together, it's like it's really utilizing every piece along the way. Yes, I love that.
And it knits them together. It knits them together in a way that's comprehensive and has a message, because you didn't go through anything by accident. No. It's all pieces of that much bigger.
And I also think that I know we get stuck thinking that change should happen right now. But we have to remember that we are living in 3D and very little. We have not mastered quantum leaping yet. So most things happen over time, and it is a process. It is a deep learning process. And if we're willing to stick with those changes, then indeed they will happen.
Yeah. Well, I love that you said that, because so after the government, that's where the planning piece came in. And I adapted that framework to work for individuals. So it's the same framework that we rigorously tested in the government, and it works now for individuals and small businesses. But what you just brought up is that commitment to practice. And for me, that comes from my yoga background. We call it a sadhana, or what is your daily practice? And do you have a daily practice, and are you committed to it? It doesn't matter if you're committed to it for 3 days or 3 years, but are you actually going to do that practice every single day and show up in the way that you want to do? So I think that's where so much of the yoga teaching and trainings can come in, is they give you the tools to work with those deeper aspects of your mind and your emotions and who you are, but they also give you that choice. They give you that continual choice to choose you and to choose what you want. So then you put the two together, and then you've got me.
And then we've got you.
So we've got me.
What prompted you to leave the work in the government?
I'm probably one of the very few people you're ever going to hear say this, but I achieved my entire life's goal. When I was young, I knew I wanted to work in peacekeeping and conflict resolution and all of these amazing things. I wanted to reach this incredible height of this global intervention with conflict, and it just turned out that we did it. And I went, oh. Well,
we did it. Okay, now what?
Now what? Yeah, I mean, completely backwards. People say, "Oh, how did you ever manage that?" And of course, it never looks like that going forward. It only looks like it going backwards. So going forwards, I was like, "Is this the right thing?" But there we were, and I really accomplished everything I wanted. So the options were to move on and be promoted in a technical sense, but not in an emotional sense, into things that I didn't really care as much about. And I also at that point realized that for me, peace is such a huge issue, and I'd been working so much on outer peace, and that I was really neglecting the inner peace. So I left the government and I moved to New Zealand. Well, I took a yoga training in Hawaii and then moved to New Zealand and lived on a mountain for 8 months, 8 months, and did a lot of deep introspection and did much more yoga training in the following years after that in New Zealand, and then moved back to the States and said, okay, now we've got the inner and outer peace. Let's move. Let's come out of yourself and move beyond navel gazing to connecting with other people, moving this forward.
I love it.
So
I love this, in talking to all the speakers, hearing their journeys, that it's not like you just woke up one day and here you are. It required a lot of soul searching, journeying, experiential living, and a willingness to engage in the world around you and recognize that where you were, as much as it was what you had envisioned, that okay, you got there to that point and you were ready to move on. Me in high school, in the yearbook, what do you want to do when you grow up? I wanted to be a psychologist and I wanted to be a dancer. And I taught dance for a number of years. I got my master's in clinical psychology. And okay, where's the yearbook now? Because now what do I want to be when I grow up this time?
Right.
every little experience I've had along the way laid the groundwork for the Be Great conference. And how, even though am incredibly qualified to bring this to fruition, how I recognize that I know nothing, and everything is a learning opportunity. Every little step along this journey is a learning opportunity, and that's how life is. And the choice is, do we continue to learn and grow, or do we shut off and hide? And I just love the work that you're doing, that you're encouraging people not to hide.
Yeah.
And really that spiritual component is a piece of it, but really the practical, okay, here it is outlined in a strategic way for you, for your clients, so that when they leave you, they are really well prepared, even after 90 minutes, only 90 minutes, giving them tools that they can then go back to and revisit, but implement immediately for some change immediately.
Yeah.
Really huge. Oh my gosh, that's exciting.
It is exciting. Well, and I just want to say to anybody who's watching this and thinking about, maybe you're in your business and you have those highs where you're like, oh yeah, I can do this and I know what I'm doing and I'm totally confident. And then you have those lows, right? And the lows are pretty awful. And they can get more.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It doesn't happen to me. But as you get closer to letting yourself be unleashed and letting yourself really speak your message, those highs can get a lot higher and those lows can get a lot lower. And it's like this up and down, and the lows can be so devastating that you're questioning everything about you, who you are. I mean, full on existential crises, and they might last for a few hours or a few days, or maybe even longer, but it can be really alienating. And I think you're right that the tendency there is to go, I don't belong here. I have nothing to say for myself. Let me hide. And I just want to say to anybody who's watching this, if you're feeling that way, you are not alone. And the best thing that you can do, legitimately the best thing you can do, is get back out there and get around other people who are doing things, because it's going to inspire you and it's going to remind you of the gifts that you have to share. Because as soon as somebody starts talking about something that you have an emotional stake in, it's going to draw it out of you, and you're going to be like, I know all about this. And so when you're around people who are doing cool things, and like at the Be Great conference, when you're around all those people moving and shaking and doing all that, it's going to pull all of it out of you, and you're going to feel so inspired to move forward. You're going to make such amazing connections, and then you'll have more support to help lift you as you go through that emotional roller coaster of unveiling yourself to the world. So don't hide, come to the conference and lift yourself up. But it's true. That's why so many of us go to things like this, is we need it. We need it.
We need that in-person connection, that in-person reminder. There's nothing more powerful. I went to a training yesterday with 8 or 9 other B schoolers, and wow, just that connection and learning you just can't beat that in-person kind of experience. But hey, I just want to back up a second, because I just want to encourage everybody out there to hear her words, that when you hit that spot in the road for you and your career development, your business development, and you're feeling like, oh God, I'm shutting down, to absolutely reach out and have some experiences. But this is also what Alexis specializes in, is that this bump in the road is a time that you want to pick up the phone or shoot Alexis an email and say, I need that 90-minute session to reboot, refocus, reconnect, and move forward. So if you are that person, her website is alexispierce.com. And if you want to come meet her in person in Seattle, I almost said Colorado, but I'm not in Colorado anymore. I'm now on the West Coast, darn it. But BeGreatCon.com, the Be Great Conference, Aligning Business Strategy with Soul and Spirit, is taking place here in October 23rd through the 25th. And we would love to see you there. So thank you for joining us, Alexis. Do you have any last minute words of wisdom to depart, or do you just want to say bye?
All I could think of was the phrase, existential crises are us. I can handle them. Bring your existential crisis here.
Bring it on. Alexis can help you. So
but no, I'm just so thankful to you, Dory, for hosting this and putting it on, and for giving us all an opportunity to come together and really build something even greater together. So thank you.
I'm so excited. We've got speakers that are coming from the East Coast, from Texas, all over. We've got participants coming as far away as New Zealand.
Wow.
So yeah, it is an international conference, and it is a big deal with lots of a big deal in the sense that there's so many great people that are going to be there, both as speakers and as attendees. So great chance to connect and yeah, be great.
Be great, yes. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Alexis. We'll see you soon. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person next month.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, everybody, be great. See you next time.